So I've been going back and forth for a while on how I would like to do highways in Transport Fever 2, and I went so far as to look up some videos of how other people do highways in this game, and there doesn't seem to be any sort of consensus on the best way to create highways in Transport Fever 2, because it seems like the traffic simulation, it's not that deep. At least that's what I've picked up. I'm not saying that to slate the game. I'm not saying that to be mean. It just seems that it's a little, it's a simple traffic simulation. It's basically, hey, what's the shortest route I can take to get to where I want to go? So even though I could, if I wanted to, build a highway that cuts through the middle of San Francisco into the middle of Garland, if there's a shorter route, so for example, if I had a road that went from, say, you know, right here in this location all the way over to there. I'm not going to show that because it's going to get the game really laggy, but if I did that, that's the route they're going to take because that seems to be the shorter route and it's a bit easier. It doesn't have all the interchanges and things like that. So highways are going to be tricky, and I would like to get them working, and I think I will experiment with them a little bit today, but I have a bit of a project that I want to do in Garland first. I've actually gone ahead and rebuilt some parts of Garland, this entire upper part here. I just sort of redid the roads, upgraded some of them. I've locked a bunch of them, and I sort of laid out what's eventually going to be suburbs, because that's what this was before I bulldozed all of it. And I think it just looks better. I think it's just a nicer layout, but that has raised a bit of a problem, which is that Garland has a very, very limited public transport loop. So what I'm thinking I'm going to do is basically go in and manage the vehicles in the Garland loop. I'm going to sell the vehicles on that line. We're going to manage the line itself. We're going to just delete the Garland loop as well. And then I want to go in and just bulldoze all of the bus stops because I kind of want to try, I can actually unpause when I'm doing this as well. I want to try something a little bit different for Garland and see if it's something we can extend to a bunch of our other towns as well. So we obviously have the central train station, which is great, but what I'd like to do, and I need to stop pausing when I do this, what I'd like to do is come through here and basically just get rid of everything in this block. Now I could obviously just put a building down to do this, but I want to clear out this one tile because my thinking is that we could potentially build sort of a central kind of bus station directly opposite the train station and have 3 or 4 different loops that go around Garland, because it's kind of distinctly divided, right? We have this corner, this corner, this corner, and this corner based on the sort of main roads going through here. So why don't we do 4 loops that go around sort of each of the corners, and then they loop back into the central station, so you can get on a bus here and go anywhere, or you could get on a bus up here, come down to the central station, hop in another bus, and it brings you out here. Again, I don't know how deep the simulation is in Transport Fever 2. I don't know if that's necessarily going to work as simply as I'm saying it will, but I want to try because I think it'd be interesting. So basically, we're going to come down here. We're going to get ourselves a nice big sort of bus depot thing. I want it as central as I can get it in here, which looks to be honestly about there. That seems pretty good to me. And that's, yeah, I'm actually quite content with that. I've also been thinking of creating sort of a one-way system around here that might be kind of interesting. The only problem is this particular stop right here might have some issues with that. But I wonder if I was to go in and just say, put a truck stop on that side of the road and then bulldoze this one, that should just move all those trucks over to the other side of the road. So, you know what? Let's give it a shot. I've not really done anything with one-way roads in Transport Fever 2, I think, ever. I want to say I might be wrong in that. I might have done something at some point, but I don't for the life of me remember ever playing around with one-way roads in Transport Fever 2. So we'll see what this does for my traffic. At the very least, it just pushes it around really nicely. It's going to be one way across here as well. Obviously, they can cut back and forth here, which is totally fine. And honestly, I'd be tempted to, I'd be slightly tempted to change some of these. So these guys could have, they've got more turning lanes than I'd like, but we'll see how that plays out, giving them some options there. Maybe the same thing here as well. Dedicated right turn lane seems like a good idea. We could do similar here with some dedicated lanes. We could do similar here. I think we'll just swap some of them out and see how it goes. This one really doesn't need, well, actually, you know what? This one can be 3 lanes as well, and so can this one. We'll just, you know what? We'll just upgrade all of them. We'll just upgrade all of them to be 3 lanes. There we go. That'll be fine, I'm sure. We'll see how that goes with the with the traffic. But what I'd like to do before I set everything else up is I kind of want to decorate this. I want it to look nice. I want to put some trees around this, maybe some rocks, maybe some detailing. We've got some options. We have mixed tree brushes. We have trees that I can put down one at a time. I just want it to look good. What is this? This is a mountain maple. You know what? That sounds like exactly what I'm looking for. And you know what? I think this will do. I'm not going to go too crazy with it. I could have put some buildings around it because you can, of course, configure these things and do passenger buildings, which, I mean, they look okay, but I don't think we need to do any of that. I think this will be completely fine. It has the 4 platforms as well. So let's just go ahead very simply and start looking at how we're going to do this. So the only issue I see with this one-way system is that all my buses are going to have to come out and sort of go in one very distinct direction, which might not be good for traffic, but we'll give it a shot. We'll add a stop right up here. And I'm realizing as well that this might be slightly tricky with how this is laid out. I'll tell you what we'll do instead, actually. I don't think doing stops on this avenue is going to do me any favors, so I'm going to take you out. And I think what we'll do instead is bring a stop onto this road right here. It covers a really nice area in this way. And then we'll cut over to, I guess, about here. We can stop out on, actually, we don't have to stop on that avenue. We'll stop up on this road, and then we'll sort of bring this down back into here. And it's going to be a very, very short, very simple loop, but it does cover that entire corner. And that should cover everything that builds in there pretty well. So that's going to be loop number 1. We'll go ahead and create it, and we'll do these one at a time so that I can sort of get an idea of exactly how this is going to work. So it's going to come out, it's going to go up and around to there, and then it loops back down. Now, annoyingly, they're going to be crossing over each other. It might have been a better idea to have this station the other way around, but I'm not going to move it at this point. That's totally fine. It's going to be road passengers. It is going to be Garland loop. We'll just call it Garland loop 1. And color wise, we'll change it up. We'll go for a bright yellow just so I can clearly see it. And I guess that's just how it's going to be. We'll put you on platform number 1. And then for loop number 2, we'll come into this way, and we're going to sort of stay on the south side of this avenue. So we're going to come up onto the avenue, then down into this neighborhood, which I think is going to be fair enough. We'll stop right about here. We can stop right about here, and we are going to come all the way down. I really don't want to stop in this avenue again, so we'll go for a stop right in here. And then we have the station on that spot. So, I mean, this has pretty good coverage. I think just for the hell of it, we'll add a stop in here as well. So it kind of loops down and around. And if I've done everything correctly, I should be able to say new line, start here, and go to this guy. Then into here, which does exactly what I want it to do. Down to this stop, and over to that one before it returns to the station, which is absolutely perfect. So again, that gives us pretty good coverage. This one might need to be expanded into this little corner at some point, but for now, that's going to be Garland loop number 2, which is going to be a nice bright yellow line. And then loop number 3 is a bit simpler. It's in red just so we can clearly see it. It comes into this corner up here, just north of the main sort of avenue through there. It's gonna be good once that area fills out. And finally, loop number 4 is much the same. They're all just going to their respective corners in the city, and that's completely fine. So with those all set up, we just need to get our hands on a few vehicles, and I'm not thinking I'm gonna go too crazy with this. I think what we'll do is go to passenger. We'll use the, well, I mean, it's gonna be the SL192, and I'm thinking I'm just gonna put about 3 of them on each loop. So I think honestly, I'll just duplicate this. I'll duplicate it again. We're gonna paint them all. Do I want them to be bright yellow? I don't know if I do want them to be bright yellow. I might go for like a darker blue color just to change it up a little bit, even though the lines are yellow. And then we'll just go 1, 2, 3 and put you guys all the way down here onto loop number 1. Get you 3 onto loop number 2 down here. The next 3 onto loop number 3, because of course. And then the last lot go on to loop number 4, and hopefully that's going to work out nicely. Hopefully that's going to get people around Garland in a really good way. So we'll let the game run. We've got the new buses coming out. Honestly, they look pretty good in blue. A little bit of a faded blue, but I kind of like it. I think it's pretty good. And I suppose now it's kind of just a waiting game to see what happens. We do have a bunch of people walking over here. I'm assuming these guys all came from one of the old bus stops. So, I mean, it looks like they're going to the train, which is fair enough. They've been dropped off somewhere. There's another group of people right there. That's I've never noticed that in, that's how very city skylines of you, Transport Fever. It's usually the kind of thing you see in cities, just a massive crowd of people moving towards a train station. But yeah, that's hopefully going to be good. That's hopefully going to get people moving around. We do have some people waiting up on this line. We have some people waiting down here as well. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see if it works out. We'll see if it's good or if it's bad. But here's what I'd like to move on to. I mentioned highways. I want to experiment with highways. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I wasn't really thinking of saying this, but I'm going to be honest with you because I think it's important. I recorded about an hour and a half of gameplay that was going to be this episode. It was going to be episode 21 of the series. And about an hour and a half in, I zoomed out and I looked at what I'd done and I was like, I don't like this. And what I did was basically go into San Francisco. I took out this entire road across here and you can see why. I mean, it's packed with traffic, but most of that traffic, to be fair, on this road is not mine. This one's a different story, but it's just a lot of civilian traffic, which says to me that one, we probably want to improve our transport links. And well, actually, that's a point. We don't have great, well, we actually do have pretty good public transport around San Francisco. Anyway, that's besides the point. The point is I took out that road. I put a sunken highway in there. I connected it to a highway that come down to Garland. I did the same thing in High Point. I sort of, took out this road and put a highway through the neighborhood and I was going to take it into Salem and I zoomed out and I didn't like it. So I've played around a little bit with the concept of highways on this map so far, and I still can't figure it out. But I bring that up because I did find a really cool mod that I think is going to make my life so much easier when it comes to building highways. So basically, here's what I'm thinking. We'll get to the mod in just a second, but here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking that I do want highway connections in here. The problem is I have no idea how to terminate a highway. I don't know if you just run it into a city or what you do with it. So that's kind of where my problem is. So I'm going to try and build some highways and I'm going to try and build them in such a way that they're not going to loop around forever, but they're going to sort of have the potential to go elsewhere. So for Garland, for example, I'm going to build a highway and I'm going to build it just way out here. So it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be coming across about here. So what we'll do is build something like, actually, there's an easier way to do this. I'm going to get myself one of these guys first. I'm going to get myself a T intersection, 3 lanes. I want it to be nice and large, and I want to rotate this guy around. So this ground is not as flat as I need it to be. Okay, so I need to flatten the terrain first. This is where things start to get a little bit complicated, but this is what we're going to do. I'm going to flatten out this terrain as best I possibly can. And this is where I'm going to put my highway intersection. This is where we're going to put that T junction. And so it's going to live right about here. Obviously, we'll smooth out the terrain in a second, but I would like to make some slight changes to it. I want to drop this down to 2 lanes and this to 2 lanes. And then I want these roads going up and above to be single lanes, which apparently I can't do. That's a little bit unfortunate. Okay, well, that's fine. It still gives us a dedicated turning lane, which is better than not having a dedicated turning lane. And then what we'll do is go back in here and we want to basically flatten this terrain out here a little bit. It basically smooths it out for me as well, which is great. And then out this way, we're going to sort of flatten you a little bit. And out this way, we're going to flatten you just a little bit. And then we'll smooth all of those edges. So you can't really see the damage that I've done in here to the terrain. We'll also smooth this out so it doesn't look quite as nasty. And there we go. So this is basically going to run down towards Garland at some point. But when it comes to everything else, what I'd like to do is go ahead and get myself a large highway. I want to bring that large highway straight off of the side here. We'll go about this far for now. And I'm basically going to have this thing sort of pass the south side of San Francisco. I might even have it going to another T-junction and surround San Francisco in highways. But it's going to pass by the south side of San Francisco. We're going to do another T-junction that's going to connect to San Francisco. But here's where the mod comes in. And here's the part that I'm excited about. Let me go ahead and do a little section of road here as well, because like I said, it's going to continue maybe towards Kansas. But let's say I didn't have the ability to just do this, right? These roads run really nicely parallel to each other because of course they do. I can now go in here. I can go to, I want to say, yep, assets. And I have this guy, this marker tool. And what I want to do with the marker is I want to go ahead and, well, actually I want to just double check that these roads are going in the right direction, which they are. I want to mark here as the start. So I left click there, and here's the end. So I right click there. And then we go to a parallel tool. And if we use the parallel tool, now I don't know exactly how this works, but if I think I want to say that this thing has clearance to the left, and then we want to go down and say that we're going to be doing streets. So we want to do parallel type street. We are going to be doing parallel type of a large highway. And if I click, it will have collisions, which is fine. That's to be expected. I need to figure out there we go. The distance between those is 6 meters, not 5. But that now gives us a parallel highway. So I can use that to basically have all of my highways just perfectly parallel. And then we can do the same thing over on this side as well. If we go back into the marker start and end, we want to start there and there. Back to the parallel tool. And then if I click, it just works. It just works. I love this mod. I've been looking for a mod like this for so long. It levels things perfectly as well. And you can change all of this. You can change the settings so it doesn't just conform to the terrain. You can have different heights for all of it, but this is so good. This is something I've been looking for a while, and I'm going to just try and use this to get various highway connections to the different towns. I don't know if bringing this down and connecting it to this avenue is going to be all that good because it is going to be sort of a long way around, but I'm going to give it a shot is what I'm going to do. I'm going to give it a shot. We're going to see if this works. So let's go in here and flatten out a bit more terrain. I want to flatten this area because I'm going to put another T-junction right about here. And I probably don't need to flatten this space, but I'm going to do it anyway just to make sure we have a really nice space to play with. And then for the street construction itself, it is going to be rotated around a little bit to, well, roughly there actually is pretty perfect. So we'll go for right about there. The game's auto saving, so it's going to freak out because I'm trying to build something pretty chunky. Again, I haven't turned the autosave frequency down. I'm not going to. I've said it once. I will say it a million times more. The second I turn that down is the second the game's going to start crashing. So I'm not willing to take that chance. Anyway, my thinking for how I'm going to connect everything to the cities is basically roundabouts. So I'm going to bring some highway roads down, put a roundabout at the end of it, and then connect that to the city in a variety of ways. Whether or not that ends up being a good idea, I have my doubts, but we'll figure it out. I'm also thinking I'll probably do a clover leaf in here. I'm going to have to flatten a lot of this terrain, take out a lot of these roads, and rebuild a lot of things. But a clover leaf between High Point and Salem might be the best way to connect those to this highway. But that's for later. We will figure that out in a little bit. For now, that road needs to go away. This train track, honestly, I might keep it there and just let the highway sort of go over it, because it's really not the end of, it's not going to be that busy, right? It connects to a depot, so it's not like it's the end of the world. I think we'll just allow it to stay. And then what we'll do is sort of run the highway to about here, because it is going to need to curve around. It needs to sort of head in that general direction. So to about there should be totally fine. Actually, you know what? Just looking at it, it's going to mess with me a little bit. Let me bring this right back. Let me take this whole thing out. We're going to have to figure out a different way to connect this. In fact, you know what? It's long overdue to get rid of this. We'll get rid of the San Francisco Depot. Contains vehicle. Wait, what? What do you contain? Train 1. Oh, I forgot. I sent train 1 back to the depot because I wanted to sort of keep it. Well, I'm an idiot. Just get rid of it. It's fine. We'll rename something else train 1. It's not the end of the world by any means. We can totally rename something to train 1 and not worry too much about it. We'll bring you straight through a little bit further, and that seems okay. And then what I think I'm going to do, to be a little bit cheeky, is I'm going to see if I can get away with something like this, right? Now, that's not going to be exactly how we do this, but it's something like that. I'm going to bulldoze the end right there. I'm going to bulldoze these two ends as well. And I'm going to bring that one further back. And then down here, we're going to do similar. We'll bring you a little bit further back. We'll keep you roughly where you are. But what I should be able to do is just connect those quite nicely like this, which is honestly totally fine. And then up here, we want to connect you something like that, which again is totally fine. So having done that, if I've done it properly, we can go in, we can set up some markers from this spot, going all the way to this spot. We want to go into parallel. We want to click, and an intersection or crossover prevented it from being reached. Oh, because it's going over the tracks. Can I click again and have it work? No, there's collisions now. What's it colliding with? I guess it was probably just this train track that it was colliding with, which is completely fine. At the very least, we have this whole thing in here now. So what we need to do is just go and swap the direction of this lower section of highway so that it's all going in the correct direction now, which it now is, which is fantastic. As for this train track, I mean, realistically, I think this is just a connection point between some old lines. I mean, yeah, it's connecting to this guy. I don't think we need this whole section of track anymore. We are going to need some more, you know, depots around here and things like that. But for now, we'll just take out this entire section of track because I just don't think we're using it. If we are using it, then I'm going to deeply regret this in not too long at all. But for the time being, this will make my life a little bit easier if we don't have to worry about it. We don't have the, oh, we do have you. I think I'll just get rid of that as well. I don't think I need it. And I think we're fine pretty much everywhere else. So that gives us a nice section of highway, which is great. This will connect to San Francisco at some point. This will connect to Garland. That'll be fine. But we do have to reconnect this road. So let's figure that out. I guess we're going to go up and over. We're not going to... Yeah, we're going to go up and over. We're not going to be going underneath. We're not going to be going directly across it because that'd be terrible for traffic and defeat the point. Can I... So apparently I can't do this either because there's collisions with that train track. That kind of makes sense. Let's maybe bring you a little bit further back and let me try and be a little bit creative here. I think this might be a little bit much. Yeah, that's kind of annoying. Can I change it out to this and have it work? Still going to be a no. What about you? Yeah, maybe not that one either. Somehow I don't think so. I can go higher with it though, which is not bad. Bridge pillar collisions are no longer really a thing there, which is all right. So I think that's maybe what we'll do. I think that's probably fair enough. It definitely looks the part. And then we'll just upgrade the rest of the road to be like this. We'll upgrade this road to come down here. And if anything, that's just gonna be a really good upgrade for the traffic coming and going around here anyway. This whole section, to be quite honest, probably needs some upgrades. In fact, it really does. This is a really, really old system that we have down here, but this is a start. This is okay for now. As for these guys, they're going to need a connection. So let me do a little something here. We'll bring this sort of out just past the forest. And there we go. Everything is connected again. Everything's working. These guys can come in here and do their thing. And again, I'm probably going to want to change a lot of this up a little bit. We could honestly use the coal mine and the iron mine for this steel mill rather than bringing it all down here. That would give us slag as well, which is good for construction materials. So we probably want to change that up at some point. But for now, let's just continue this thing over a little bit. I think realistically, what I'm going to do is get myself another section of highway right about here. And let me just double check that everything is heading in the right directions. It absolutely is. Okay. So another section of highway. I'm kind of wondering, can I bring this over to roughly here and then run a little connection up into, what is that? High Points? Yeah. We'll give it a shot. We'll do this. Can I get a street that just connects to this properly? Not really. That's going to be a little bit unfortunate. That roughly lines up though. So we'll go for this. And then what I'll do is just refund this entire thing. So all the way back to there, and we'll just build the roads, you know, the old fashioned way between them like that. If I do a curve on that, it doesn't really change anything, but I'll do the curve anyway. And the same with going to there. So this will be the exit for San Francisco. This will be the exit for High Point. And then somehow I need to build this in here. That's going to be tricky because there's nothing but hills in here and there's bridges and it's a mess. I've really got no idea how I'm going to do this. This might be a terrible idea as well because I'm probably going to have to build some roundabouts so that all of this traffic goes over the highway. Man, this might be a bad idea. You know what? Let me connect the existing highway to all of my existing towns before I get a little bit too carried away here. Let's see if anyone wants to use this thing before I potentially just destroy a bunch of my infrastructure. So bring this to about here. Actually, let me, what if I was to just put a roundabout on this road and bring the highway down that way? That might not be a bad idea. We want to go for a pretty large roundabout as well. We'll go for a size of like 40 or larger, but we could put it there. We do 3 lanes. We go maybe up to 50 for this thing, and just put it, say, there, and then connect that to the highway. That might be the way to go. That really might be the way to go. I think what we'll do, we're going to have to do some reconstruction in Garland again, but I've been doing a lot of that today already. So we'll bring this thing sort of straight down and through. It can snap to there. We'll bring you sort of straight down and through, and it snaps to there. So that's perfect. You guys are going to go away. You're all going to go away. And then can I just build a roundabout that works? So construction's not possible. What if I go for size 60? It's still not going to be possible because of all those intersections. Oh, hold on a minute. It looked like there was a spot there. Oh, hold on. There is a spot where it seems to want to work, which is interesting. It's like right in the middle. Oh, no. There's collisions in the way. I think it's the height difference is the problem as well. That's totally fine. We can bring this back a little bit to about there, and then I should be able to build this thing about here. I think 60 is the size I'm going to go for. It might be too big, but we'll go for it anyway. So right about here, 100,000 build that roundabout. It is... Should I flatten the terrain for this? I want to say I should flatten the terrain for this, but I'm gonna take my chances, I think. And there we go. We have ourselves the first highway connection, and I'm gonna have to lock a lot of roads here, but I also want to make some changes to some roads here because I'm thinking, how can I get traffic to flow that little bit better? How can we have some dedicated lanes? I could do this and have 2 lanes that go off to the highway and 1 that goes around here. That might not be the worst idea. I could do this with 2 lanes that go around the roundabout. And I think that's where I'm going to go, is we're going to try just having 2 lanes for going around the roundabout, 1 for going out to the highway. We'll see how that behaves. I have upgraded all of this so that this is now a highway roundabout. It's going to be a little bit faster. And I'm also thinking it might be a good idea to get rid of this little connection here, and we'll just bring things back a little bit. And then for safety's sake, we're going to, this is already locked to me, which is good, but we're going to lock all of this as well, just to be sure that no one's going to try and build on it, because you never know in Transport Fever 2. You just never know. But that should keep us pretty good. That should keep us in a good spot. I'm also going to say no one builds on that road either. And we'll just see what happens. Now, obviously, no one's going to use that highway because it doesn't connect to anything right now. But that's kind of where this end of things comes in. And this is where it's slightly trickier, because what I'm thinking I might do is we have this sort of main road coming down through San Francisco already. What I'm thinking is that maybe we start to take out some of these roads. And this is going to be a fair bit of reconstruction for San Francisco, but they've been through this before. I think we take out that entire block, we go in, we get ourselves a bit of an avenue, we start making some upgrades to some of these buildings, and then we continue that avenue down to here, and we just start upgrading some of these guys as well. So this avenue comes the entire way out to the bottom of town. So this is now a straight shot, potentially from the highway to, well, Everett and beyond. I don't know if this is going to be good, but that's sort of a step 1. And then step 2 would be a roundabout that also maybe links up here. That might be a bad idea, though. It would sort of allow us to create kind of a ring road thing, but that might actually be a really bad idea. So you know what? Let's just see what I can do here. Let's just let's just figure this out first. In terms of street construction, I think same story. Big old roundabout can go about here. Take out the extra part. I think honestly this needs to go as well. I don't think we want anything connecting to this road. And then for the highway connection itself, that's going to be slightly trickier because I might have to freeform this, but let's see if I can maybe, so if that's our midpoint, I don't know if I can make this happen all neatly the way I'd want it to, but let's just see what we can do. If I do a section of highway here, that should be fine. And I can just sort of curve you down to connect to it, which again is totally fine. We're going to swap you out to be 2 lanes, swap you out to be 2 lanes, And then if we get our parallel tool, I just mark, let's see, this section and that section. This might have collisions if I try to do this. Yeah, that's not surprising at all. What if I only do this part? So what if we only try to copy that part and then we duplicate you? It changes it into the wrong type of road because I didn't change it myself, but that should allow me to do, ooh. You know what? It's not perfect, but that's fine. That's honestly okay. And this guy is just going to sort of curve over to the roundabout. This guy is going to curve over to the roundabout, and we just need to flip some things around. So flip you to go that way, which now goes out to the highway. So that gives us a highway connection to San Francisco, which is great. I don't know if it's going to be good, but it looks okay. And then I guess we just go ahead and sort of downgrade or change the roundabout itself. So we'll swap you out for the 3-lane highway. We'll swap you out for 2 lanes. And then I think we will swap this guy out for, I'm going to say up to about that point, it can be a single lane. So a single turning lane for going off onto the highway. You can switch into 2 lanes for here. I would like to do this as well, so that we have kind of dedicated turning lanes there. I don't know if I love this. I feel like it's a little, I guess we'll find out. This definitely needs to be 2 lanes, that's for sure. This should be 1 lane because again, dedicated turning lane. And then this entire thing, I can actually change. So I'm going to change that. This one I can change as well, actually. So I'm going to change that. And that actually might be, that might be a better way of doing things. I think you could probably be 2 lanes a little bit more there. So yeah, dedicated right, dedicated straight on. You've got 2 for going straight on, 1 for going to the right. That's completely fine. I guess realistically, I do have to ask the question now of whether or not I'm going to connect this roundabout to, you know, these roads up here. I don't know if I want to do that. I might connect it off to the side here though, and sort of bring it over towards this avenue. That might not be a bad idea. It would also connect it to this avenue as well. I think that's something we can do. I think that's not a terrible idea. Okay, so I've gone ahead and connected High Point as well to the highway, and I am fairly convinced that no one's going to bother using the highway unless I add waypoints to it, which I might do. I'm not going to lie, it might not be a terrible idea to add some waypoints to this thing, because at the minute, I mean, realistically, I genuinely don't see anyone willingly going out of the way to use this thing when they have got those, you know, reasonable enough roads in between everything to use instead. But we'll find out, I guess. We'll see if anyone's like, oh, hey, you know, this might be the quicker way to do things. It's incredibly unlikely. And if anything, I think these roundabouts have only served to make things worse for my traffic around here. But you know, it's fine. It'll work out. This looks good, right? It's clearly a highway, so I've got that going for me, even if it's not really all that functional. Although, to be fair, there's a bunch of my lines that are using waypoints to get in and out of High Point. So I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna see if I can get a little bit creative here with my waypoint placement. So if I put a waypoint here and a waypoint, say there, and then I go and put a waypoint, say here and here as well, and I just put them on either side of these interchanges, I'm wondering if I can use these to sort of guide my lines around so that at the very least my trucks are using the highway, and then maybe that's going to be a little bit more efficient for me. I've kind of got no idea, but I'm willing to find out. So let me have a look at these guys. So this is High Point brick delivery. This is San Francisco brick delivery. So let me have a look at you. You are going to a bunch of waypoints. That's fine. So from the High Point halt, you hit all of these waypoints on the way out, which is fair enough. But let me take all of those waypoints out for a second and see what exactly you're going to do, because you're hitting waypoints on the way back as well, which is great. It's good for control, but you do go down that way, which is fine. So after High Point halt, so this is the stop up here. This is where you pick things up. If I add a station and I say that I want you to go to right about here, and of course the game's auto saving as I try to do this every single time. You know, I just want to clarify, when I'm building things and I have nothing interesting to say, I just sit in silence, and that's kind of how I know to chop that part out of the video. Every time I start talking, the game's like, oh, you know what I'm gonna do? Autosave. every single time. Anyway, after Ash Street, let's have you go there. And so now that line, even if it's not the most efficient, is using the highway. Even if it's going kind of way out of its way to do that, it's using the highway. And so I'm going to do that with a bunch of my lines, even if it doesn't make sense, because that's just how we're going to do things. I really might regret this. And so now with all of that set up, we do have some trucks that are starting to use the highway, which is exactly what we're looking for. I've got no idea. What are you doing? You're Garland Tools to Kansas City. That's honestly a line that we could reasonably set up with a highway to go out to Kansas at some point. But at the very least, we do have some lines coming over to Garland via the highway. We have some getting off in San Francisco via the highway as well. So that is going to take a lot of my traffic, at the very least, off of these roads up here. And I think that's kind of important. You guys, for example, this is San Francisco Machines Delivery. They no longer get stuck on traffic on this road. I mean, they will get stuck in traffic on this road, but I want to say that's going to be an improvement. I want to say that at the very least, I mean, this is a highway exclusively for my trucks. Even if the civilians don't want to use it, I think that's going to be, I do think that's going to be an improvement. And I do think that's going to work out really nicely for us. At least I hope so. I'm really worried about what I might be about to do in here. This has me really concerned. I'm not going to lie. I also want to just double check. We have, so that's a public transport line, right? That's a dark blue bus line. Yeah, Salem to San Francisco via High Point. That is public transport, and it is definitely causing some issues. So I almost wonder, and this might be a really silly thing to do, but I do almost wonder if it would be worthwhile setting up this line to also use the highway. I mean, we would have to build the Cloverleaf in here, and then essentially it would go from Salem over the Cloverleaf down onto the highway here and then back up into San Francisco. It might just be worthwhile getting rid of that line. Is it popular? Not really. It's really not. So you know what? Manage the vehicles, go ahead and sell them, and then manage the line and go ahead and delete it, because it just seems like it's causing problems. And now at the very least, we actually have none of my trucks going back and forth on either of these roads, which that to me is a really good sign. And the same with this one as well. We've obviously got a lot of traffic in and around Garland itself, but this highway at the very least is giving me sort of an exclusive way back and forth for my trucks where they're not dealing with the civilian traffic, which I mean isn't good. I'd like to fix this, but this is an improvement. It's definitely an improvement. And what are you doing? San Francisco brick delivery. Yeah, it's using the highway as well. That's kind of perfect. Now there is something I'd like to try here to see if this maybe influences my traffic a little bit. This road here is crazy busy. At least there's a lot of traffic trying to get onto and a lot of traffic coming off of it. If I change it out for a medium country road, a little something like this, and we go and drop this guy down to just a large street instead, I'm curious to see if we can maybe use that to encourage some civilian traffic up onto the highways. I mean, I have my doubts. I'm not really thinking this will actually do anything, but I'm just curious to see what happens. It is a slower road than they were on before, and it's, you know, it's an interesting experiment to see if that's kind of how, I guess, traffic in Transport Fever 2 works, because I actually don't know much about it. I really don't. So we'll see if we can push anybody down here. Like I said, though, at the very least, this is sort of an exclusive road for my trucks, which, I mean, it should make them faster. It should make them more efficient. And it takes them out of the traffic up here, except for these guys, apparently. Garland Machines Delivery. What are you doing? So you are, yeah, you're supposed to be going down there. I guess they're just sort of on the way back, which, yeah, they're going to be stuck in traffic for a while on the way back, especially now that I've downgraded that road. But you know what? Good luck to them. I will say, though, I think at this point, I need to make a decision on whether or not I'm going to do the Cloverleaf in here. And just because I kind of want to commit to this idea, and I do want to push the highway up to Oklahoma City as well, I think we have to do this. Now, this might be a terrible idea. This is going to need so much work for this to, well, work. but I think we're going to commit to it. And we're basically going to have to take out so many roads, so many bits of track. There's so much stuff that needs to go away here, which is going to be an absolute pain to rebuild. But if it works, if this goes well, it'll be really, really good for us. Okay, so step 1 of this entire thing is now done. We have the cloverleaf in here. Step 2 is going to be smoothing just a bit of the terrain so it looks a little bit less nasty around this thing, which is easy enough to do. And I've already connected this road up here because I figured this is sort of what we're going to end up doing with a lot of this, is having roads going up and over this thing. So I'm going to flatten the terrain here because there's a little something I want to try when it comes to connecting to these guys. So we're going to actually just continue this terrain over this way as best we possibly can. And we'll sort of do the same thing down here. Obviously, a lot of this is going to have to get changed and tweaked a little bit. But my thinking is that if I hit this with a smoothing brush and I do it properly, this road will just run straight to that other one. So if I just run this in a nice straight line to here, that's going to give me... I mean, it elevates, but honestly, I'm kind of okay with that. I should be able to just do that, though, which is exactly what I'm looking for, and then just do a bridge, something like that. And that looks pretty good to me, to be quite honest with you. When it comes to the train, it's going to be sort of a similar story. These guys don't run perfectly parallel, and I could make them perfectly parallel, but I don't think we need to. I'm also not 100% sure that this train line is even active anymore, but we'll go ahead and do, I guess, something like that. Can I just get you to connect like this? What are you going to do if I do that? And then if I start elevating the thing, it's trying. It's definitely trying. The road's kind of in the way. I could potentially fix that by getting rid of the road and then, you know, bring you all the way down there. We can elevate it again until it gives me a bridge, which that seems pretty solid. So you know what? Let's go ahead and build you. And then I need to figure out if I can actually do this road. So the collision was the problem, and it is no longer apparently a problem, which is great. So that gives us exactly what I'm looking for there. A bunch of bridges going over the highway. And then for the rest of it, I mean, the connections that are broken right now, it's this train line from left to right here. So I think what I'm going to try and do is sort of a similar thing. I want to bring this track out and I want to bring it sort of straight over. So to about there should be pretty good. I'm not going to bother with parallel tracks right now because I think that's kind of a waste of time. But we can flatten this terrain as well, bring it right over this way, and hopefully that's going to line up over here. Yeah, so this might have some problems with the fact that it's going to have to go over some of the existing roads, but I think it should be fine. We'll bring it to about here, and we'll bring you to about, in fact, I want to go with the other one because that's the one that's going to be connecting. Bring you to about there. And so those should be decently in line now, and they're going to have to just sort of cut across each other. They're gonna have to cut across these roads. So if I just bring you straight across, that's apparently too much slope. Can I bring this back and try it again? Okay, so as terrible as this looks right now, it will do the job. The real question is, can I do this without it connecting to the highway? That's kind of what I need it to do right now. And apparently I can't, which is a bit of a problem because I need that to be a bridge. I need that to look a certain way, and it apparently doesn't want to do that. So I wonder if I start elevating this track, I can get that to be a bridge, which is good. So let me, God, this is where I wish I had road guidelines, like again, we do in City Skylines. Let's go from here. Nope, that's not what I want. I guess we're gonna not go from there. We'll go from here and try and get this to be as inline as we possibly can, which is gonna go to about, I'm gonna say there is about as good as that's gonna be, and that's okay. We'll swap it out for, I mean, that kind of bridge is interesting. It's very low though, which doesn't seem safe. We'll go for this guy and we'll build it. And then I'm wondering, is that going to connect to here? Not nicely, no. Okay, so we have this thing now built. We have everything reconnected. We have no complaints about lines not being able to get to where they need to go. I just need to figure out how I'm going to connect this to everything else, because obviously down here things are a little bit more complicated. So we'll take these sections of highway out, and then somehow I need to make this all link together. So what we'll do is get a flatten tool for this part, just because I can. And I think I'll just sort of push this straight through here because it looks like, yeah, this does level out a little bit, which is great. So we'll go for something like this, and it's going to have to cut across this road. But I think for now, because we're going to be using the parallel tool for this, we'll take this road out just to make my life a little bit easier. And then very, very simply, we'll go in, we'll get ourselves this section of highway, and I'm just going to do my usual trick of something like this to sort of run as close to that factory as I can get, which is about there. So that'll get us past the factory, which means this guy can go away, and that's okay. And then what we'll do is need this to sort of link into that. Now I wonder, could I just use the curve tool to get something pretty good there? I actually can, and I'm actually okay with that. So that's actually pretty solid. And then what we'll do is just use the parallel tool to copy from here to there. We can duplicate this, which should work perfectly fine. And then if I just go back in with the curve tool, this should connect to this guy really nicely as well, which it absolutely does, of course. And then we just flip you around and connect everything down this way. And that now gives us that extra little bit of highway connection. Now, obviously, we're not connected to Salem yet. And this is going to be another connection to High Point, which might be good, might be bad, but this is okay. And again, it is going to give us the ability to connect this up to Oklahoma City at some point. I just need to figure out how this is going to work because I haven't figured that out yet. And for the life of me, I'm really worried about doing this. I think what we'll do is we'll take these roads back. I mean, it's going to have to connect to this avenue, that's for sure. So this entire avenue is probably going to have to go away. And then what we can do is maybe have some bridges go up and over it or something like that so that traffic can still get from one side of the town to the other. But I think this will be the way to do it. So take this entire little thing out. We'll bring you all the way back to there. And then these little sections of highway are going to need to come out a little bit further because they're ever so slightly obscured by the train tracks there. So bring you straight out to about that spot. And we'll bring you straight out as much as I can go to get you in line. I'm going to do these ones manually because they're going to be very, very short sections of road. And then what we want to do, basically, I think I'll use a country road for this so nothing builds on it. We'll bring this guy to about there, should be fine. We want to build a nice big roundabout on it, which can go, you know, if I build this in the right place, I could connect those other roads to this thing. I just feel like that would be a terrible idea. I feel like I'm going to be causing some traffic problems if I don't do this properly. So I'm tempted to bring this roundabout to like here. So it's right in the middle of everything. That way I can maybe get up and over it a little bit easier, or we make it smaller. We could go from 60 down to 50, go for a slightly smaller roundabout and just hope for the best. And I think that's maybe what I'm going to do, is slightly smaller roundabout and hope for the best. We'll go for that. That'll be great. Go ahead and get rid of this guy and just run these guys straight into, oh boy, straight into the roundabout. And, yeah, gonna be a whole lot of hoping for the best on this one. That's kind of my, that's the motto for this entire project, to be quite honest with you. That's what we're going to be doing. Now, let's see here. We do want 2 lanes going straight on because that's going to be kind of a busy road. I am thinking this part gets downgraded to 2 lanes. That gives us 1 dedicated lane for going straight on. I could do, no, there's not going to be much traffic actually looping around this entire thing. So you know what? That'll be fine. I think we could probably actually keep this as 3 lanes because all of the traffic hitting this guy right now is going to be hitting the highway. So that's fine. Unless I do something really stupid, which I'm going to be honest with you, I'm really strongly considering this. I think we're going to do it. And if it goes badly, it goes badly. It's fine. I'm not going to connect this lower one because I think that would be a bad idea. Although this avenue now doesn't really go anywhere. We do have traffic sort of looping around this thing in kind of a weird way. What do you do? Yeah, you come in here. So we could probably get rid of this stop, or, oh man, this is not a good idea. Or we just do this, which is, I think, what I'm going to do for now. Just to see what happens. Just to see Oh, just to see how Salem handles it. That'll be all right. Okay, we need to do the same thing on the other side. Let's get that done really quickly. Okay, I think this is probably the ideal over-engineered solution that we were looking for. It definitely lets traffic get from up here to down here, and it's definitely not as efficient as it could be, and it's probably way too much for what we need, but it works. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. I'm just looking for something that kind of works, that lets the traffic get around. And I mean, hopefully we're going to see some people actually use this highway. I'm hoping that some, you know, traffic that's not mine will be interested in using the highway. And I'm also hoping that traffic over here doesn't get too crazy. I mean, we do have some guys coming down here. We have these guys coming down here. I'm sure some of these guys are trying to cut straight across. We might need to get rid of those connections, but we'll give it a shot and we'll see what happens. We'll see if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I have to imagine that traffic's only going to get worse going back and forth here, but it is a highway connection, and that's good enough for me for now. I also kind of want to see what lines are actually going back and forth. So we have you, Salem Fuel Delivery. Where are you going from? So you are... What are you doing? Oh, you're going... Whoa. Okay. Well, that's immediately a line that we can have some fun with. So here's what I'm thinking. Salem Fuel Delivery. We are going to want to get some waypoints in here. So let me get a... That's for trains. We want to get some waypoints right here and right here. And then if I manage this line, so Ash Street is in there. So after Everett Exchange, so that, which is up there, I need you to come down this way. So I need you to go there. So you're going to hit that highway. You're coming right down through San Francisco. You are apparently not... Okay, that's not what I want you doing. I want you to go there, which apparently you can't do. Why can you not do that? What exactly is going on with that? So you can cut this way, but apparently, hold on a minute. Have I got my roads backwards? I do. That would explain a lot. So you need to be flipped around, which means that line can now work, which is great. So you come in there, you head up to Ash Street, you head back out. So now after Ash Street, you hit the highway, which apparently you're going to do. Really? You're going to go. Okay, that's that's really not what I was looking for, man. That's really not how I was looking for you to do that. What I need it to do is take this little loop right here. So we'll add another waypoint there. So after Ash Street, you need to go there, which apparently, why can't you do that though? I guess it's because, hold on, I might have to shrink this down to be 2 lanes now that I think about it. That might be the problem, is that this, the lane math or whatever doesn't really play nicely here. We'll find out. At the very least, you are now in the turn lane. So in theory, you should now be able to do this, right? But then what are you doing? It's really committed, isn't it? It really doesn't want... that's great. Can you go there? Wait, no, that's not, that's not what I wanted either. Hold on a minute. Do I have to add another waypoint? Is that, is this really how this is going to go? Add a waypoint on that side. That's fine. Manage the line so that after here, you go to that waypoint. Really? Why can you not do, so you want to go from here. So, so I want you to go through here. Does this have to be 2 lanes as well? Am I really going to have to just downgrade all of this to be fewer lanes? It really seems that way. Now it's doing what I wanted it to do, which is great. I'll allow it. That's what we're looking for. So that is coming down here. I don't want it to go that way though. I need you to go to here. Wait, no, don't do that. That's still not what I'm looking for. I need it to not do that as well. My waypoints are really giving me problems here today. There's what I'm looking for. So you're now going to cut the entire way down through there. What are you doing? What is that? Wait, why is it going? What is it trying to do? I'll probably go to the San Francisco waypoints, right? So Everett Exchange, San Francisco waypoint. I don't know what you know what? Let's just do this from scratch. There we go. Now it's doing what I want it to do. It's cutting through there. It's taking a little bit longer than maybe it did before, but it's traffic that's now not cutting across here, which is sort of what we're looking for. So let me just have a look at some of the, well, I'm pretty sure you guys are machines delivery. Yeah, coming in from here. So that one kind of makes sense, but that seems good. So that gives me some traffic on the highway from Salem, or to Salem, or whatever, back and forth from Salem to elsewhere. And again, that's hopefully going to mean that, you know, we'll see a little bit more traffic on the highways. We're still not seeing any civilian traffic on here, but it does give me sort of an exclusive expressway for my trucks and whatever else to do what they want to do. And I'm kind of okay with that. And so I guess before we wrap things up for today, we'll circle back to where we started, which is this little station here, which has some buildings around it. I wasn't really sure if I wanted buildings around it, but you know what? I'll take it. It looks okay. It is very busy. There's a lot of people wanting on Garland Loop number 4. There's a lot of people out on Garland Loop number 4. So I've added 2 more vehicles to this line. I think honestly, we'll go ahead and put 1 more in there just to bring it up to 6 vehicles. So we'll double the capacity on the line and see if that does us any favors. At the very least, it doesn't seem to be backed up like crazy in here, which is great to see. We've got all the buses going out and doing their thing. We do have little clusters of them here and there, but that's honestly okay. A lot of traffic going to and from Garland as well. That's probably something we could do something about, but that's okay. Traffic in San Francisco actually seems to be a little bit less. You know what? I was going to say it's less severe than it was. I take that back. What are you guys doing here though? So San Francisco brick delivery. What are these guys? So manage that line. I don't really know what they're supposed to be doing. I'm not gonna lie, a little bit confused about why they're up there. You know, they're supposed to be down here, and they're very clearly not. Same with you guys. Where are you supposed to be right now? So let's get rid of you. Let me look at this line, manage line. So you guys are, yeah, you're not supposed to be there either. Well, in Garland machines delivery. You know what? We'll not worry about it. They're not on the highway for whatever reason. They might have just been stuck in traffic this entire time. Oh, you know what? We do have some civilians using the highways. This is good. This is what we're looking for. Destination residential building. Where? Over in Salem. Okay. That's good. That means that traffic is actually willing to hop on the highway and use it as a means to get around. So we might see more traffic starting to do that, which, I mean, will probably cause problems for the roundabouts. They are incredibly inefficient in, you know, out of habit, I was about to say City Skylines too, or City Skylines in general. Roundabouts, incredibly inefficient in City Skylines. It turns out also Transport Fever. They're just, I don't know what it is. Games just, they don't seem to be all that good in video games in general, which, I mean, maybe that's more of a commentary on the fact that roundabouts in general aren't efficient. I don't drive and I don't know enough about, you know, road infrastructure to really comment on that. I just know that roundabouts are really common in the UK and Europe and not elsewhere in the world. So, I mean, they are in other parts of the world. I'm not saying they're exclusive to the UK and Europe and whatnot, but you get the point. There's certain parts of the world who are really hell-bent against roundabouts. And I know that because for 10 years, the comments on my City Skylines videos have been, man, you need to stop doing roundabouts. So, well, no, not 10 years. Actually, you know what? Near enough. Over 9 years. That's how it's been. Anyway, I think that's going to do us for today. I'm quite happy with this project. I think it turned out okay. I think we'll extend it up to Oklahoma City. I might do that off camera and then take it up to Montgomery as well off camera, just so we have that extension straight through there. And I guess we'll just see what happens. I think that would be good to do. And it might also be an idea now that we're coming into sort of these busier spaces here to have some extra, you know, ways on and off the highways. So maybe just a little bridge that goes across with some on and off ramps or something like that. So some of this traffic can use it. A lot of these country roads aren't really going to bother with it, but I think, well, I was going to say it could terminate in Montgomery, but we'll probably continue it up because we do have Thousand Oaks up here that we are using. We have Mesquite, we have Miramar. So we have a lot of places. We could start to connect all of my cities with highways, because right now the connections are usually trains and planes and occasionally automobiles. So we'll see what we can do. Either way, thank you so much for watching, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure as always. And as always, I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.